I had a secret ability I never told anyone about. Whenever I was intimate with my boyfriend, I saw what he had been doing exactly 1 hour earlier. In the past, the glimpses had always been filled with love. I saw him standing in the rain, patiently waiting in line to buy my favorite muffins. I saw him gripping a small ring box with sweaty hands, nervously rehearsing his proposal again and again. I believed that Eugene Shaw loved me with all his heart. 3 days before our wedding, everything changed. The instant his lips met mine, a vision flashed before my eyes. In a dim lounge, he had Jeannie Rogers, my best friend, pressed against the door. Tears streamed down Jeannie's face as she pushed weakly against his chest. We cannot keep doing this. Melissa paid for my education. She did everything for me. She has been nothing but good to me. If she ever finds out, it will destroy her. Eugene did not answer. He lowered his head and kissed her. His voice sounded rough and unfamiliar. She will never know. And I am marrying her in 3 days. Think of this as one last mistake. Vision vanished as quickly as it appeared. Back in reality, Eugene still held me in his arms. He brushed his hand across my cheek, his eyes warm with affection. Melissa, we are almost married. Are you happy? I looked into his loving eyes and smiled faintly. The love I had seen in those visions had been real. His betrayal had been real as well. After 7 years together, our story ended here. After Eugene spoke, he kissed me again. His lips brushed my cheek with the same tenderness I had trusted for 7 years. But the moment he touched me, another vision flashed before my eyes. Jeannie stood in front of him, her dress wrinkled and her lipstick smeared. She leaned into Eugene's arms with a playful pout. Melissa's so skinny. Do you think she'll even fill out her wedding dress? I went with her to try on the main gown today. It looked empty on her. Eugene chuckled. She is too skinny. Every time I hold her, it feels like I am hugging a bag of bones. Annie pretended to frown. How could you say that? Melissa's my best friend? Then she leaned close to his ear. What about me? How do I feel? Eugene said nothing. His hand tightened around her waist. That silence answered everything. Jeannie smiled. Forget it. I'm not stealing you from Melissa. She's waited 7 years for you. It's kind of pathetic. The vision shattered. I was still in Eugene's arms. Nausea rose in my throat, and I shoved him away. He stumbled back, startled. Melissa, what's wrong? Before I could answer, the electronic lock beeped. The front door opened when he walked in wearing a silky spaghetti strap nightgown, smiling as if this were completely normal. Melissa, the shower at my place is broken. Since you live so close, I thought I'd borrow yours. My eyes settled on the thin nightgown. For the first time, I did not pretend not to notice. Jeannie, don't you think it's inappropriate to come to our house dressed like that? Eugene froze. Her eyes immediately turned red. Before she could say anything, Eugene stepped in front of her. Melissa, Eugene lived overseas for years. She's used to dressing like this. Overthinking it. I almost laughed. Of course, I knew she had lived overseas. I was the one who paid for her to go. When Jeannie could not afford her first year of tuition, I gave her every cent I had saved for 2 years. At the airport, she hugged me and cried. Melissa, you're the best friend I'll ever have. When I come back, I'll be your maid of honor. Later, Eugene began traveling overseas for work. I was even the one who asked him to look after her. Jeannie's alone there. If you have time, could you check on her? He had ruffled my hair and laughed. You're too kind. At first, he always sent me pictures. He brought her groceries, took her to dinner when she was stressed about her thesis. Later, Eugene appeared more and more often in Jeannie's social media. He carried her luggage, took her to the hospital, stood beside her at graduation. I had felt uncomfortable before, but every time I reminded myself that one was my boyfriend and the other was my best friend. They only knew each other because of me. Only now did I understand. Crossing the line had not happened overnight. It happened little by little while I kept making excuses for them. Jeannie lowered her eyes. Melissa, if I'm making you uncomfortable, I'll leave. I said she would leave. Her feet never moved. Eugene frowned. It's late. Her bathroom is broken. Where is she supposed to go? Just let her shower. I did not argue because my eyes had landed on the diamond necklace around Jeannie's neck. A few days earlier, I had found the receipt in Eugene's study. It cost more than 10 times what he had paid for my engagement ring. I thought it was my wedding gift. I imagined him fastening it around my neck before the ceremony. Now it belonged to Jeannie. I looked down at my own engagement ring, plain, inexpensive. He had smiled. A ring doesn't have to be expensive. It's the thought that counts. Now, I finally understood the thought depended on who the gift was for. As Jeannie passed me, her perfume drifted through the air. It was the same scent Eugene wore. She entered our home as if she belonged there. She knew the door code. She arrived in a nightgown. She wore the necklace I had thought was mine. Eugene opened a cabinet and handed her a brand new bath towel. Soft ivory, one of the matching towels I had bought for our married life. Annie accepted it naturally. You're always so thoughtful. Melissa trained you well. Eugene smiled. Be careful. The floor is slippery. The bathroom door closed. Running water filled the apartment. Standing there, I suddenly felt like the outsider in my own home. Eugene finally turned to me. Melissa, don't overthink it. You and Jeannie are so close. I'm only looking after her, because of you. After a long silence, I murmured, He visibly relaxed. He thought I believed him. I went back to the bedroom and quietly closed the door. A message from the wedding planner was waiting. Miss Smith, we need your final approval for the wedding poster tonight. I typed back, changed the name. The reply came almost immediately. Miss Smith, do you mean the bride's name on the poster? I smiled bitterly. Yeah, change the bride to Jeannie. The next morning, breakfast was already on the table. Eugene stood in the kitchen with his sleeves rolled up. You're awake. Did you sleep well? My eyes fell on the mug of warm milk. For years, Eugene had remembered that my stomach was sensitive. I always took the milk out early so it would be exactly the temperature I liked. I used to think, if a man remembered something that small, how could he not love me? He still remembered. I simply could not tell whether it was love anymore or habit. After 7 years, Eugene pushed a jewelry box toward me. I noticed you looking at Jeannie's necklace last night. You deserve something beautiful, too. Inside was another necklace, similar design, smaller diamond. Eugene came behind me and swept my hair aside. The moment his fingers touched my neck, another vision appeared, a jewelry store. Jeannie sat at the counter holding the exact necklace, now in Eugene's hands. She tried it against her neck and frowned. It's too plain, and it scratches my neck. I don't want it. He tossed it back. Eugene stared at it, then told the saleswoman, wrap it up. Jeannie looked surprised. For Melissa, he nodded. She wasn't happy last night. I'll give it to her. Jeannie frowned theatrically. Don't brush her off like that. Melissa is my best friend. Eugene laughed. She won't mind as long as it's for me. She'll love it. Jeannie picked up the necklace again. That's true. Melissa is never picky. I used to send her dresses I didn't want anymore, and she happily wore them to work. Eugene simply handed over his card. My breath caught. When Jeannie first went overseas, she was always short on money. I saved everything I could and sent it to her. I barely bought myself new clothes. When she mailed me the brand-name dresses she no longer wanted, I had been grateful. I thought that was what friendship looked like. I never realized I had spent years happily accepting whatever Jeannie discarded. The vision disappeared. The necklace was already around my neck. It felt less like jewelry and more like a joke wrapped around my throat. Eugene leaned close. Do you like it? I removed it and put it back in the box. Scratches my neck a little. Eugene paused for a moment. Confusion crossed his face. Then he dismissed it. He probably thought I was still jealous. He ruffled my hair. The wedding is only 2 days away. Don't stay upset. I lowered my eyes. He thought I was pouting because of Jeannie. He did not know I no longer had enough love left to feel jealous. My phone lit up. The wedding planner. Miss Smith, we need your final confirmation of the wedding schedule tonight. Is there anything you would like to add to the ceremony? I stared at the message, then typed, yes, I would like to say a few words before the ceremony begins. On the wedding day, I arrived at the hotel on time. The makeup artist finished and smiled at me. Miss Smith, you look beautiful. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked exactly like a woman waiting to marry the love of her life. Only I knew I had not come to marry Eugene. I had come to give him and Jeannie the greatest gift of their lives. Makeup artist reached for my veil and suddenly stopped. Miss Smith, this veil. One corner was wrinkled. A faint smear of lipstick stained the fabric. My fingers tightened. My mother had sewn that veil during the final days of her life. By then, her hand shook so badly, she could barely hold a needle. Still, she spent an entire month sewing every pearl and every tiny silk rose onto its edge. She had smiled from her hospital bed. I may not be there to walk you down the aisle, so let this veil stay with you instead. When you wear it, pretend Mom is still holding your hand. Not long after that, she died. I treasured that veil more than anything. Before the wedding, I had sent it to the hotel separately and repeatedly told the staff to protect it. Now it was crumpled, stained with another woman's lipstick. The makeup artist asked carefully, would you like me to clean it? I stared at the red mark. No, leave it. The door opened. Eugene walked in wearing a black suit. He looked calm, handsome, gentle. If I had not known the truth, I might have fallen in love with him all over again. He stopped behind me. Melissa, you look beautiful today. Then he reached out to straighten my veil. His hand cupped my face, leaned down to kiss me. The instant our breaths touched, another vision crashed into my mind. A private lounge. Jeannie was wearing my veil. Her lipstick was smeared. Her eyes were red. Eugene, have you lost your mind? You're marrying Melissa in an hour. Eugene looked down at her. That's why this has to be the last time. Eugene cried. You say that every time, but every time you see me, you can't help yourself. He did not deny it. He wiped away her tears. Jeannie wrapped her arms around his neck. As they fell onto the sofa, my veil slipped from her shoulders and landed beneath them. My whole body went cold. They knew what that veil meant to me. They had both stood beside my mother's hospital bed before she died. My mother had been barely more than skin and bones when she held Eugene's hand. I won't be there to see Melissa marry. Please love her for me, Eugene had cried. You have my word. I will never let Melissa be hurt. Jeannie had held my hand, too. Don't worry, I'll always stay beside Melissa. When she gets married, I'll send her off for you. And now they had taken the veil my dying mother left me and crushed it beneath their bodies. Vision ended. Eugene was still standing behind me, carefully adjusting that same veil. A knock came from outside. Mr. Shaw, Miss Smith, the ceremony is about to begin. Eugene held out his hand. Come on. I looked down at it. That familiar hand had stayed awake all night, replacing the cold towel on my forehead whenever I had a fever. It was also the hand that had touched Jeannie, the hand that had taken 7 years of love and turned it into a joke. I placed my hand in his. Together, we walked toward the ballroom. The doors opened. On stage, the MC smiled and addressed the guests. Before the exchange of rings, the bride has prepared a few words she would like to share with everyone. Let us all listen to the words she wants to say to her groom. Eugene turned toward me, surprise flickering across his face. When did you add that? I smiled. Last night. I stepped onto the stage. The ballroom fell silent. Hundreds of guests looked at me, smiling warmly. Some were already raising their phones to record. Eugene stood beside me, completely relaxed. He probably thought I was about to give some sentimental speech about our 7-year relationship. He was wrong. I took the microphone. Before I say anything, I said, I want everyone here to meet the person who should actually be standing beside Eugene today. Confusion spread through the room. Eugene's smile disappeared. Melissa, he whispered. I turned toward the ballroom doors. Please come in, Jeannie. The doors opened. Jeannie walked inside. She was wearing a beautiful white dress. Not a wedding dress, but close enough. Her face went pale the moment she saw me standing at the altar. Eugene immediately stepped forward. What are you doing? I smiled. Don't worry. I'm not ruining your wedding. I looked at Jeannie. I'm giving it back to you. A murmur swept through the guests. Jeannie shook her head frantically. Melissa, I don't understand. Of course you don't. I raised my phone. Because you thought I was stupid. The ballroom screens suddenly lit up. A recording appeared. Eugene's voice filled the room. She'll never know. The guests went silent. Then another recording played. Melissa is never picky. Then another. She'll love it. Then another. I'm marrying her in 3 days. Think of this as one last mistake. Eugene's face drained of color. Turn that off. I handed the microphone to the MC. Keep playing. The screen changed. Photographs appeared. Eugene carrying Jeannie's luggage. Eugene taking her to dinner. Eugene standing beside her graduation stage. Eugene buying her jewelry. Eugene holding her waist. Then came photographs from the past few months. Hotel rooms. Late-night dinners. Private lounges. Every picture told the same story. They hadn't made one mistake. They had built an entire second relationship behind my back. Jeannie started crying. Melissa, please. I held up my hand. Don't. She froze. I spent 7 years protecting you. I looked directly at her. I paid your tuition. I helped you move overseas. I sent you money when you were struggling. I defended you whenever someone questioned your friendship with Eugene. My voice remained calm. And you repaid me by sleeping with my fiancé. The room erupted. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, her fiancé? Eugene grabbed my arm. Melissa, we can explain. I pulled away. No. You can explain it to everyone else. I pointed toward the screen. Because I already know. Eugene looked terrified now. You knew? Yes. His expression changed. How long? Long enough. I removed my engagement ring. For 7 years, I had imagined this ring being placed on my finger at this exact moment. Instead, I dropped it into his palm. You can give this to Jeannie. Jeannie shook her head. I don't want it. I laughed softly. Don't worry. It's not the expensive one. Her face turned red. You know about the necklace too? Oh, I know everything. I looked at Eugene. I know you bought her a necklace 10 times more expensive than my engagement ring. Then I looked at Jeannie. I know she rejected another necklace because it was too cheap. Jeannie covered her mouth. The guests stared at her. I smiled. So, congratulations. I stepped away from the altar. You two finally have everything you wanted. Eugene suddenly grabbed my wrist. Melissa, wait. I looked at him. For the first time in 7 years, I saw no warmth in his eyes. Only fear. Don't leave.
Why?
Because I love you. I almost laughed. You love me? Yes. Then why did you betray me? He had no answer. I leaned closer. That's the problem, Eugene. You wanted me to be the wife who loved you, while Jeannie was the woman you desired. His face went white. You wanted both. I pulled my wrist free. But I'm done being the fool who makes that arrangement possible. I turned toward the guests. The wedding is cancelled. A collective gasp filled the ballroom. Then I smiled. But the reception isn't. Everyone stared at me. I picked up my champagne glass. Eat the food. Enjoy the music. Take pictures. I looked at Eugene and Jeannie. Because I'm not wasting a perfectly good wedding venue. The band slowly began playing again. I walked off the stage. Behind me, Eugene shouted my name. But I didn't turn around. For the first time in 7 years, I didn't care whether he followed me. That felt better. The wedding reception became the biggest scandal in the city. By Monday morning, the recordings from my wedding had spread across every social media platform. Groom cheats with bride's best friend 3 days before wedding. Woman exposes cheating fiancé at her own wedding. Best friend secretly dating bride's fiancé. People recognized Eugene and Jeannie everywhere. The comments were merciless. And then the photographs appeared. The necklace. The hotel. The private dinners. The overseas trips. The messages. Everything I had quietly collected over the years. Eugene tried to claim the recordings had been edited. That lasted less than 12 hours. Because I released the complete recordings. Then the full photographs. Then the financial records. Jeannie had been telling everyone that Eugene had paid for her overseas education himself. He hadn't. I had. When people discovered that, the public reaction became even worse. Jeannie tried to call me. I blocked her. She came to my apartment. The security guard wouldn't let her upstairs. She waited outside for 3 hours. I never went down. Meanwhile, Eugene's company began losing clients. Several business partners quietly canceled their contracts. His boss summoned him into a meeting. Apparently, the company had a strict morality clause for executives representing them publicly. Eugene was removed from several major projects. Then came the financial disaster. During our relationship, Eugene had repeatedly told me that his finances were excellent. They weren't. I had simply never asked. Once the wedding was cancelled, I hired an attorney and discovered that several expensive gifts he'd purchased for Jeannie had been charged to accounts connected to his company. That wasn't romantic. That was fraud. An investigation began. Eugene suddenly had much bigger problems than explaining why he'd cheated. Jeannie wasn't doing any better. Her university alumni association removed her from a prestigious volunteer position. The company she worked for asked her to take an indefinite leave. Everywhere she went, people recognized her. The woman who had once told me she wanted nothing except my friendship was suddenly infamous for stealing my fiancé. And then she made the worst possible decision. She gave an interview. She sat in front of the cameras with tears in her eyes. I never wanted to hurt Melissa. I watched from my new apartment. She continued. Eugene and I tried to fight our feelings, but sometimes love happens. I nearly choked on my coffee. Love? I paused the interview. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because she genuinely believed that rewriting the story would make her look innocent. So, I released one final recording. Jeannie's voice filled the screen. Melissa is never picky. She'll take whatever you give her. The interview disappeared from the internet within hours. So, did her sympathy. After that, I stopped talking about them. I had bigger plans. 3 months after my cancelled wedding, I launched my own company. For 7 years, I had worked behind Eugene's shadow. I had written business proposals for him, managed his schedules, helped negotiate contracts, introduced him to investors, built relationships he later took credit for. Now I used everything I had learned for myself. My first company specialized in helping small businesses expand internationally. Within 6 months, we had more clients than I could handle. Within a year, I opened offices in 3 cities. Then an investment firm offered to buy 20% of my company. I refused. Instead, I raised private funding on my own terms. The company exploded. 1 year after my cancelled wedding, a magazine put my face on its cover. Melissa Smith, the woman who built a business from scratch. I stared at the photograph. I barely recognized myself. Not because I looked different, because I looked free. My mother had once told me that I was always so busy taking care of everyone else that I forgot to build something for myself. She had been right. So I built it. 2 years later, my company was valued at over $500 million. I bought my mother a beautiful memorial garden. I bought myself a penthouse overlooking the city. And I finally replaced the wedding veil. Not with another wedding veil. With a custom-made piece of art. Every pearl represented a year of my life. 7 pearls sat at the center. 1 for every year I had spent loving Eugene. I didn't remove them. I kept them. Because those years belonged to me too. Meanwhile, Eugene's life had collapsed. The investigation into his financial dealings ended with charges, lawsuits, and a settlement that left him drowning in debt. His company fired him. His friends disappeared. The people who had once praised him stopped answering his calls. Jeannie moved twice in 1 year. She and Eugene didn't even stay together. Apparently once there was no secret to protect, the romance wasn't nearly as exciting. They blamed each other. Eugene said Jeannie had seduced him. Jeannie said Eugene had promised to marry her. Neither accepted responsibility. They eventually became enemies. 3 years after my wedding disaster, I attended a business awards ceremony. I walked onto the stage to accept Entrepreneur of the Year. The applause seemed endless. As I looked over the crowd, I noticed 2 familiar faces near the back. Eugene and Jeannie. They looked nothing like the beautiful couple from the wedding photographs. They stood apart from each other. Older, exhausted, humiliated. Eugene caught my eye. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he whispered something to Jeannie. She shook her head. They left before the ceremony ended. I watched them disappear through the doors. Then I turned back toward the audience. The host handed me the microphone. Melissa, what do you think is the secret behind your success? I smiled. I thought about the woman I had been 3 years earlier. The woman who thought her entire future depended on whether one man loved her. Then I looked at the company logo behind me. My name was written across it. Learning who deserves your loyalty, I said. The audience applauded. And this time, the life I had built belonged entirely to me.